Hi guys, happy hold please Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Shit. So, how are you guys? Hopefully well. So, one thing I totally forget, so it's perfectly fine. My first order of books did come today, so my Virgo Queen, ouch, we will be getting A Witch's Journey and Ouija Pop. So, do I use my own books? Yes. I use my own books, I use my own journal, I use them for references, I do. I have 3 copies of my own. So yes, I do use them, if anybody was wondering. So I did post a link on my regular page, my private page for my closer friends to, bless you, to, yeah, so you can find where to order those if you want to, or you can just do the PayPal thing with me, and I'll send you your signed copy. So, this morning, what a great day. It's beautiful out. What a great day yesterday, what a great day today. It's just been amazing. It has been seriously amazing. Alright, so I was sent a link this morning from a Cemetery Shift Ranker, and this is entitled Obscure Entities That You Should Know. So, alright, these lesser-known paranormal entities are far more terrifying than your average ghost. And I agree that they are, because they're Japanese. And it really reminds me of The Ring, which that movie scares the shit out of me. It scares the heck out of me. Sorry. So, and this is by Jacob Shelton. I like your hair. Looks good on you. So, alright. Okay, so while most people know of vampires, werewolves, zombies, and even the Slender Man, oh god, really? An entire subset of lesser-known ghosts exists throughout the world, all dedicated to haunting this mortal coil. Where have I heard that before? Mortal coil. The craft. Alright, so, these forgotten paranormal entities and rare ghosts may not appear all that often in pop culture, but they still wait in the shadows nonetheless. That's why I like them so much. So, some of these creatures are pets, who return as ghosts or shadows that wait until you're cozy in bed before they crawl out from the corners of your room. Yeah, that's pretty much. Lately, when I'm going to bed, when I'm falling asleep, it's like somebody comes up the steps, and it's a very gentle, like they have slippers on, like a grandmotherly. It is my grandmother. Why did I not think of that earlier? So yeah, the past, I don't know, like week, somebody, it's between when I'm awake and when I'm asleep. It's not sleep paralysis. I know what's going on, but I'm still asleep, but I can move, so it's not sleep paralysis. I'm not paralyzed. The energy walks up the steps, and then I can feel something just kind of, almost like it's tucking me in, so I know that's her. Very, very, very fun. It's very, very comforting, so nothing scary or anything like that. Okay, another forgotten ghost is a mysterious fog that pours from a European forest at night. That would be so amazing to actually see and witness. So, these may not be ghosts you never knew existed, but not knowing about them will not protect you from their mischief. And wrath. I highly doubt that. So, these forgotten ghosts offer an insight into the history and local legends of where they came from, and are as terrifying as they are fascinating, so perhaps you even grew up with a few of them, in which case you understand how scary they can be. So for those of you just learning about these unique and strange supernatural beings, make sure you take note of how to best avoid them. Ooh, CBD. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, so 1. There is on Rio? On the Rio. It's Japanese. I wish you guys would give how to pronounce these names. So, no, it's cool. So these vengeful spirits from Japan are some of the most powerful and terrifying paranormal creatures ever reported on Earth. According to the reports, the Onryo are not only capable of assaulting people, they can also cause natural disasters. So what makes an Onryo? These spirits all began life as women who were wronged by their lover. I understand them now. I can relate and sympathize. What is going on with the news? There's always a shooting. Oh my god. Literally a shooting every day here. Okay, so yeah, these spirits all began life as women who were wronged by their lover and who return only to make them miserable. If you've seen The Ring or The Grudge, then you know exactly what the Onryo looks like. Typically they wear a white robe, white faces covered in pasty white kabuki-esque makeup, and they have jet black hair streaming into their faces. When an Onryo is created, its effects go far beyond just those who, nice breeze, who incurred their initial wrath. So Onryo spirits enjoy tormenting their subjects. I love them. I like this. Often killing off those around them before finally attacking their targets. And that's not that terrifying. I mean, that really is not that terrifying. So, I don't know how true that is, so I can't really give my input, but perception is reality, so many people believe it, so it's true for them. So number 2, we have Kuchisake Onna. So this ghost, whose name translates loosely to the slit-mouthed woman, first appeared during Japan's Edo period between 1603 and 1868, and managed to grip the consciousness of Japan to this day. According to the storytellers from Edo period, the Kuchisake Onna is a ghost that presents itself as a woman with a scarf covering her face. Modern versions of the Kuchisake Onna story depict that the ghost wearing a red surgical mask rather than a scarf. Japan's American Mary. That's awesome. Japan's American Mary, literally. Alright, so she approaches victims and asks them, "Am I pretty?" If you answer no, she kills you immediately. If you answer yes, she removes the scarf and repeats her question. If you answer yes again, the Kuchisake Onna will follow you home and murder you there. Okay, so how do you escape her? To escape being murdered by this angry ghost, throw candy or money in her face and run away. One may also give her an open-ended or confusing answer, forcing her to think while you make your escape. Was this terrifying? No. Not really. Alright, now we have 3 shadow people, and I know we've covered a few of these before, but it's still very interesting. Alright, so all of these lesser-known ghosts, ghouls, and goblins, shadow people definitely grew in infamy as more people claimed to come across these mysterious beings. And I have my own opinion on those. So, reports of shadow people increased since 2001, when Native American elder Thunder Strikes appeared on Coast to Coast AM to discuss shadow people. Okay, I would believe it more through the Native American elder than I would anybody else. So, where to go? Okay, the discussions of shadow people on Coast to Coast provided a language for people to discuss these types of hauntings. Multiple listeners submitted drawings to the show, and the topic of shadow people remained a mainstay ever since. So in 2015, a study on sleep paralysis, odd synchronicity, a study on sleep paralysis and shadow people stated a part of the brain pulls shadow people from the depths of one's subconscious in order to clear out confusion. Regardless of where they come from, shadow people still terrify whomever they come across, filling witnesses with dread and on occasion even physically assaulting them. Yeah, that's different. That's very, very different. I don't think that they can harm you. Honestly, no, I don't. I don't think that's even a possibility. But it could happen, so it's a possibility. Now we have La Llorona. I want to see that movie so bad. When does that come out? April? What? I don't know, but I hope it's very soon. So, woe to whomever comes across La Llorona, the weeping woman, while making their way through Mexico. Oh, I wonder if my very good girlfriend ever witnessed the La Llorona in Mexico when she was there. So, many different theories attempt to explain why this weeping ghost kidnaps and drowns its victims, but the main story tells of a young woman who grew jealous of the attention her husband was receiving from other women. Enraged, she ended up throwing her children in a river. When she realized what she had done, the woman committed suicide shortly after. Ooh. Now the woman haunts the darkness of Mexico as La Llorona. I really have a roll to my R's. It helps taking Spanish for 4 years. So, alright, as La Llorona, a weeping ghost who kidnaps children who stay out after dark, drowning them so she may make them her own. Is this terrifying? No. Ooh, the Bell Witch house. Ooh, that's a pretty house. I would love to go in there. Kind of looks like my house when it was an old schoolhouse. Literally. Okay, this is kind of weird. Alright, spooky tales from the south tells of ghosts. Wait, from the south tells of ghosts, witches, and demons haunting their pitch-black fields. The story of the Bell Witch still sends shivers down the spine of anyone who knows of it. In the early 1800s, a farmer named John Bell and his family fell victim to a mysterious creature who used everything in the paranormal handbook. What handbook? What paranormal handbook is this? Does anybody know? I don't. Do you? Maybe. To completely ruin their lives. The haunting began, as many do, with a series of knocks happening around their home. So from there, the activity became more harrowing. Ooh, blanketing from the beds, hair pulled. Don't you ever touch my hair. Don't you ever pull my hair, my ghosts. Ever. No, that's a no-no. Don't touch my face either. Okay. And then eventually an unseen force assaulted the Bell children. So then the entity began speaking to the family, revealing herself to be Kate Batts, a neighbor of the Bells who disagreed with them over the sale of slaves. Okay, so obviously she was opposed. She was against slavery, which I totally agree. So after John Bell began suffering a mysterious illness, Batts allowed him no rest until he died. I can kind of see why these spirits would want to harm slave owners, especially the ones that were very cruel to them. Yeah, I just wish that would have never happened. So, even then, she made a point of causing a scene at his funeral, too. Oh my god. Wow. That's... So, after that, the Bell Witch began to make the rounds in Robertson County, Tennessee, and haunt whomever it felt deserved it. According to locals, terrifying happenings are still going on in the area. So take a trip down to Adams, Tennessee if you dare. I am right below. Or above Tennessee, so maybe. Alright, number 6 is Diogen. Diogen? So, what would you do if you walked by the forest and saw a fog with a mind of its own growing from the trees? I would really want to know what's going on. I would ask it. I would give it something, an offering. So, okay, so this is a phenomena. Yeah, the Diogen phenomenon. Diogen, translating to the eyes, reportedly happened to people who lived near the Sonian forest in Belgium. In the early 30s. According to De Kinderen van het Betsenbos, or Children of the Haunted Forest, the haunting began after local nuns discovered the charred remains of a group of murdered children. Ooh, that's sad. That's really sad. People who witnessed Diogen claim to see a dense fog escape from the forest, oftentimes appearing in colors like green or gray. In the midst of the fog, mysterious, childlike figures can be seen rushing through it. Drivers sometimes report the imprints of hands on the windows of their cars. It's possible that the ghostly fog and the book that brought it to life don't exist. It does not exist. Doesn't exist. But do you really want to take that chance the next time you're in Belgium? If I ever go to Belgium, I will definitely check that out. But I never will go to Belgium. Ever. So, this happens. That's a natural phenomenon because we see it all the time. It's called very cold air, and the ground is still very warm, or it's very hot. So that is what causes that type of phenomena, for the fog to roll through the trees and do all kinds of odd stuff. So, yeah. Ooh, 7. Kobolds. Okay, so unless you read up on Germanic mythology, you likely never hear. This is a bad article. You likely never hear of the kobold outside of a game of Dungeons and Dragons. This creature isn't a ghost nor a demon, but instead something rarely ever seen in American paranormal mythology. A sprite. Oh. Well, I have one of those. I have many. Dating all the way back to the ancient Greeks as creatures associated with Dionysus. Oh, the god of sexual desire and lust and love and the drink. I don't drink. And indulgence. Lupercalia. So these little European creatures appear almost anywhere, such houses, mines, and even ships, but their appearance are difficult to confirm as the sprites usually perform tasks under invisibility. While many kobolds act as benevolent helpers, some possess more mischievous personalities, especially if you wrong them. So one tale tells of a kobold who tore a boy apart and proceeded to cook him, all because the boy offended the spirit. So scholars believe that these creatures first came about in the 13th century, and they were the idea of a gobbling originated. Was that scary? No. Old book. I want an old book. Alright. Ooh, pretty mansion. This weeping ghost, known as Old Book, haunts the grounds of the Peoria State Hospital in Bartonville, Illinois. So not far from me. West of me. Alright, this mental institution... I should probably check myself in here if it's still open. This mental institution, operating from 1902 to 1973, dang it, plays host to a series of different hauntings, but none are as apparent as the cries of Old Book. Before his death, Old Book lived as a patient in the hospital who also worked as a gravedigger. Because no one knew his real name, he was checked in under the pseudonym A Bookbinder. Okay, this sounds like the episode God Johnson from Lucifer. Checks himself in as the devil. Guy checks himself in as God Johnson and thinks he's actually God. Yeah, so I don't know about that one. Supposedly before being sent to the mental institution, he worked in the world of bookbinding. Ooh. And at one point he became so overwhelmed with stress it rendered him mute. I can understand that. With stress, Jesus God. The story goes that the old book attended every funeral and lean against an elm tree where he would cry, even if he hadn't known the person in life. Oh my God, that guy had a lot of compassion, sympathy, and total all-inclusiveness. That's... So as pallbearers prepared to lower his casket into his grave, it bounced up and into the grave, knocking the pallbearers down. The man in charge of the institution, Dr. Zeller, wrote in his journal after the casket fell, everyone who hadn't fled the harrowing sight would hear someone crying against an old elm tree. Quote, every man and woman stood transfixed, for there, just as always had been the case, stood old book, weeping and moaning with an earnestness that outrivaled anything he had ever seen before. We would not be mistaken, it was the same old book. Wow, that's interesting. I like it. If you visit the grounds of the now abandoned hospital, make sure you listen carefully. You may hear the cries of old book. That's not scary. Oh, 9. Chindi. Okay, this is an amazing dust devil. If you guys can see that, that's the dust devil. So that is what Chindi is. So, alright, so this is the Navajo people. So in the lore of the Navajo people, it's believed that the last breath of a person contains everything bad about them and everything that kept them from becoming one with the universe. The final expulsion of negative energy creates a malicious spirit called a Chindi. To ensure your dying self will not create a Chindi, one must pass away in an open area like a field or a desert so that the Chindi may dissipate. For those without that luxury, your family must burn all of your belongings and never say your name again. Oh God, worst case scenario, if you or a loved one passes away inside a house, oh God, there's been so many deaths in this house. The house will be haunted forever. I do believe that. If you even drive through the desert and come across a dust devil, then you've encountered a Chindi, and that's about as close as you want to come to one, unless you're aching to be infected with ghost sickness. That's interesting. That's really, really, really interesting. We get dust devils a lot out here. It's because of the wind. It's true. It's because of the wind. Stop smoking so much. I'm so sorry, you guys. My younger audience, I am so sorry. Don't smoke. Seriously. You will regret these when you get into your 30s. Trust me. Don't start. Terrible, awful, ugly, gross habit. 10. Animal spirits. So despite the myriad theories of what ghosts are, multidimensional creatures, energy beings that weren't able to cross over to the afterlife, etc., general consensus agrees that ghosts are the spirits of something that was once alive. Alright, thus it makes sense both pets and feral animals run the risk of having their spirits trapped on the mortal coil. According to Dale Kosmarek, president of the Ghost Research Society, the most widely seen animal spirits are dogs, cats, and horses, in that order, respectively. Yeah, I believe that. Actually, I do. He theorizes only intelligent creatures possess the capacity or capability to return to life as a ghost. An explanation as to why there are no phantom mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are homophobic. I hate mosquitoes. And rather than returning because they suffered a traumatic death. Okay. Kazmarek believes an animal may return as a spirit due to their owner's intense grief. My dog, I swear, did. Yeah, it did. Oh wow. That's it. 20 people. 20 people share their creepiest encounters with humanoid beings. Alright, so this is interesting. Aw, I can understand though that the dog, like, the grief that I felt when every animal I've ever had passed, it was so intense, worse than a human, except for my grandma. The grief of my grandma still, it just, yeah, it's bad. Just always, so. Okay, so these are, humanoid creatures. Djinn, possibly. And now that I know what Djinn are and how to work with them and the benefits and, the working partnership that you have and you develop with your Djinn, now I can see what a humanoid would be. Alright, so this is abducted while camping. 3 months ago, I was camping with a friend in a very remote part of North Carolina. I'm a massive wilderness junkie. I've been camping all my life. Okay, and I spend much of my free time hiking, rock climbing, hunting, etc. That'd be fun. I love those stone rock walls that you can climb. It's so much fun. So, a buddy of mine who also enjoys the outdoors wanted to head up to the Sierras for a weekend and asked me to go with him. It was our second night and we were sitting up by the fire. We weren't staying at a campsite. We had hiked about 10 miles from our cars to a clearing with a beautiful view, and he stayed at once before. A view he had stayed at once before. Around 10 p.m., it's about my bedtime. Literally. Okay, around 10 p.m. my buddy got tired and went to sleep. Well, duh. 10 o'clock is late. In his tent, and I wanted to stay up for a while, but 45 minutes after he went to bed, I saw this object coming up from the valley below. It was a basic flying saucer shape with multiple circular lights rotating around the edges that changed colors over and over. I was absolutely shocked. That is amazing. I would love to see that. I watched it for maybe 15 seconds and decided I had to wake him up so he could see it and wouldn't think I was crazy. I stood, and when I looked back towards it, the thing was gone. I called out his name, and that's when everything got really fucked up. That's what this says. I'm not just cussing for the sake of cussing because I like it. So, okay. I didn't hear my own voice. Ooh, when called out. Everything was completely silent. I could move my eyes around but couldn't move my body. I remember seeing the fire had completely frozen and everything looked like a picture, like time had stopped or something. Then there was a flash of light and I blacked out. Ooh, that's weird. I woke up later just as the sun was starting to rise. I was outside laying in the dirt shivering next to the fire that had long gone out. Ew. Bugs. That's all I can think of is bugs. I felt like I had been drugged. Totally in this haze. I sluggishly yelled out my friend's name a couple of times and he came out of the tent. He was really confused to say the least. I tried to explain what happened, but my memory was really foggy. Your friend roofied you, I'm sorry. And I just couldn't articulate it. We left within 30 minutes. I was totally silent on the car ride back, falling in and out of sleep for 7 hours. He dropped me off at my house and I passed out basically for an entire day. That's what happens when you get roofied. I know that for sure. A few weeks later, I was messing around with an amp, and it released this static ooh sound when I unplugged my guitar. For some reason, this sound somehow triggered my memory. I remembered everything. Triggers. When I came back into consciousness, I was suspended literally in this circular mechanism in a position very similar to Da Vinci's, what is that word? I can't say it. Vitruvian Man. So these clear glasses, like shackle-type restraints, were holding me in place. I was completely nude, and standing above me were your 3 typical aliens. Huh. They were around 4 feet tall, and were wearing white spandex-like suits. Ooh, I like that. Bad Romance, Lady Gaga video. I wonder if these people saw that video first, beforehand. 2 were just standing there observing the other, who was extracting blood from a vein under my armpit. Ouch! Get the fuck away from my armpits. with this weird-looking syringe. Although they didn't show any real reaction, I could still tell that they were surprised that I was awake. That's very odd. Okay, I couldn't move at all except for my eyes and lips. I was absolutely terrified, in a sort of fight or flight mode, my heart pounding for an influx of adrenaline. I can't even begin to tell you how scared I was, but I also felt total rage. I wanted to kill them, wanted to rip out this device and completely destroy them. Wow. My brain went totally primal, just animal instinct, and I could just tell that they would sense my anger, because they all stepped back simultaneously. I'm 6'3", whoa, you're tall, and 185 pounds. And I was hoping I looked as threatening as possible, which is silly because I was totally paralyzed and therefore completely harmless. Ooh. 2 of them disappeared from my view and presumably left the room. The other one was just staring at me, void of any emotion. I wanted so badly to just shut my eyes, but I forced myself to just stare right back at it, trying my hardest not to blink. Then the 2 others came back, and now they weren't alone. I honestly couldn't believe my eyes. Standing behind them were 2 very tall, very human-looking beings, a male and a female. They looked like Norse gods with bright golden hair and massive eyes. The males were dark blue and females were violet. Wow, I like that. I suppose they are what the UFO community refers to as Nordics. This was quite bizarre to me. My family descended from Sweden, and I am very Nordic looking. Blonde hair, blue eyes, the works. What color are my eyes? I have the Italian eyes. They change. So. Okay, I know this is cliche, but I heard a feminine voice in my mind. For some reason, I could understand what she was telling me, although it wasn't like she was saying anything in English. She told me something like, "Be calm, you are not in danger." Okay, that's a little more relaxing or comforting. I relaxed and asked her what they wanted with me. She said that they were just checking up on me. I practically blacked out after hearing that. I asked her what she meant. She said that they had saved me. When I first came into being, I immediately knew exactly what she was talking about. I was born particularly 2 months premature. Wow. My mother was horribly sick during labor. We both had fevers of 104. Jeez. The strange thing is, the doctors had absolutely no idea what was wrong with us. I was given 2 spinal taps. Oh, God. Ouch. My mother 3. I spent 4 nights in that bubble housing ICU thing. The incubator thing, yeah. There was a decent chance I was going to die. Then one day I started getting better and made a full recovery. Thank God. The doctors were very worried that the whole ordeal might have permanently damaged my body and possibly my brain, but I was totally fine. I had asked her, "Why did you save me?" The first time I heard a deep male voice state that this is a conversation for a later time. Okay. I asked them if they are human. He said no. I was confused, considering they looked quite human. I asked him if man had come from them. He said yes. They had come here 200,000 years ago and created mankind by combining their DNA with that of our primate ancestors. What's that all about? I wanted to know why they looked especially similar to me, more than other humans. He stated that many males of their kind found female humans attractive and mated with them. Oh. This directly passed on some of their physical features to Nordic peoples. I wanted to know more, but they declined and said it was time for me to go back. I blacked out instantly and woke up by the extinguished campfire, clothes on and shivering. I understand that this sounds absolutely ridiculous and very impossible, but it happened. I don't know what to do. I've been completely lost since the encounter, but I already feel a bit of relief after posting my story here. Well, that's not too bad. I mean, really, it's not. Oh, whoa, here's one from Indiana. Weird creature in the middle of the road. Oh, this is very interesting. Alright, I'm from Indiana. And a couple years ago, my mother was driving my sister and I to school to set the stage. It was a foggier morning, and it was on the stretch of a road with the forest on one side and a cornfield on the other. Typical Indiana. Yep. Out of the blue, this creature that we couldn't identify ran across the road, causing my mom to slam on the brakes. It looked about the size of a grown man and was covered in dark hair. It was bipedal, but was lopping really oddly. Needless to say, it wasn't a coyote, and I've never heard of bears being in central Indiana. We do have reports of bears here. Dear heart. Admittedly, it was so foggy, so I could have misidentified it. Okay, so it was a shadow human. So this happened a long time ago. I must have been at least 18, no older than 20. I was sleeping on my back in my bed in my parents' house where I lived, when I suddenly woke up from a deep, dreamless sleep. I opened my eyes and a male humanoid shadow seemed like it pushed itself up from laying on top of me. It seemed surprised that I woke up, interrupting whatever it was doing. It wasn't anything sexual. If anything, it was. Not sure how to describe it. Feeding or scanning me. Makes the most sense, though I know both of those are sort of at odds with each other. It swooped back at me. In a rush, and I fell back asleep instantly. I woke up about 2 hours later than my normal wake-up time, and I felt okay. Just a little sluggish. I never saw it again. Wow. So that's pretty cool. It's really interesting stuff. So, alright, this one is let out a screech. It let out a screech. So, I've never had an experience myself, but do believe in this and similar phenomena. I had never spoken with my girlfriend about this unknown humanoids, or any paranormal occurrences for that matter. On Friday night, she and I were at a friend's house and decided to leave at around 1 a.m. Wow, people stay up late. It's very foggy outside, being that we live near rivers and creeks in rural Illinois. She goes to the gas station on her way home to get the rural town where we both live about a block away from each other. I get home and didn't hear from her for a bit until she calls me, very shaken up and crying. She says on her drive home, she saw something crouched in the road on the right side. It looked to be fairly small, possibly a child. She rolled her window down and asked if they were okay, and got no answer, only continued sobbing. She pulls over and gets out of the car, walked up to whatever this was, and attempted to ask if it needed any help. The thing stands up on 2 feet at over 6 feet, wow, and lets out a god-awful screech and runs off the road into some pretty dense woods near a tributary of the Kuchisake River. She can't say it was a boy or a girl, but she can say she's never heard something like that before. She's pretty jarred by the experience. Wow. Alright. So we have some pretty interesting, very interesting stories going on here. Wow. I did not know those. Those are interesting. Very interesting. Wow. I really like it. Very cool. So, alright guys, I've got to go ship books and go to the La Pharmacy and get my script. So, I will see you guys tomorrow. Tonight I think there will be an interview with me on someone's channel, so stay tuned. Keep looking on Facebook or YouTube, somewhere like that, I think. So yes, alright. And I will see you all tomorrow, definitely. So I love you all very much. Thank you all for watching. You are all so freaking incredible. So I love you all. My arm is all better today, thank the gods. So all my love to you guys. All the way from ouch, it still hurts, Venus, all the way back down. Yard work sucks, especially when you're not taking kratom. So, alright guys, I love you all, and I hope you enjoy. So, yes, enjoy, and everybody have a good day.